but I think we can start. Yep.
Okay, this is the meeting of the Umpqua Public Transportation District Special Transportation Advisory Committee, the STAC STIF Committee. Today's date is December the 4th, Wednesday, 2024. Call to order.
At 5:34.
At 5:34 PM. Is Dick present?
I am.
Thank you. Tina Temple. JC Smith.
Here.
Donis Smith. Justin is still at work. Kat Stone. Ashley Hicks.
Present.
Natasha.
Present.
And Roy Spurgeon, I don't see him either.
Okay, and then we have Kathy.
Yeah, Kathy is the board member
Okay.
that's been attending.
All right,
So we have 5.
so, so absent is Justin and who else?
Tina Temple, Justin, Kat, and Roy are absent as
Okay.
of right now.
All right. So the meeting is called to order at 5:35 PM. And we're gonna do, would you Ashley do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, my pleasure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Okay, we're gonna go over, this is Donis, we're gonna go over the minutes from the last meeting that were held on November 4th, 2024 at 5:30 PM. Dick, I hope I pronounced this right, Dolgonis made a motion to approve them with JC seconding. The minutes were then passed.
Those were for the November 4th.
Those are for November 4th.
Yeah, so the minutes that are provided with the packet today are for the last meeting.
Okay.
And if everybody's had a chance to review them, does anybody have any questions about them?
Questions? I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Okay,
I second. JC.
okay.
And then there is a move it application that was put in by Ashley Hicks.
I think you guys have to vote for the minutes, right?
We have to
Yes.
vote? Okay,
A motion was made by Dick, seconded by JC, all in favor of approving the minutes as submitted.
aye.
Natasha?
I'm abstaining. I wasn't there.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So 4 yes. 1 abstain. Does anybody have any further discussion? Okay. No. Then we can move on. With the minutes being approved.
Okay. Then we go to number 4 on the agenda, which is the move it application by Ashley.
And I will just be brief about this. I've been doing some daydreaming on how our district may be able to increase ridership and some issues in regards to dispatch, and then also in regards to a pay feature by the rider who would be able to pay with the mobile app. Their information's already in with their account. The Move It app specifically is different in a lot of other transit apps. If you most mobile devices will either have Apple Maps. If it's an Apple device, Android devices will have Google Maps, and those are those will show the fixed routes and all the routes on there, the route pickup locations, but what they miss is the opportunity to pay for ridership and also the opportunity to know where the bus is in real time. So folks aren't standing out in inclement weather, or they're not leaving 20-30 minutes before or after the bus has arrived or left. This app specifically, the reason why I like this one is because it is an international favorite, and then also a favorite by a big city. So folks that are traveling from Europe, Thailand, you name it, they come here, the app is already on their mobile device and it's integrated with the translation of language. And then also our routes are available for them in real time. The other part I like about the Move It app specifically is that it gives opportunity for riders to have a notification when they approach their stop, so they're not forgetting to get off if they're unfamiliar with our city or the routes. And what I'm asking our committee to do is make a recommendation to the executive board to reach out to Move It and request a quote. They quote their services based off of what our specific needs are for our district. So comparing a price quote with Eugene and Lane County, for example, they also use this Move It app. Their price would be substantially higher based off their ridership, their routes, so on and so forth, compared to what they should be quoting for our district. Also with that, we may align with other types of transit grants that kind of go along with using the mobile app. And so I think that it kind of puts our district in the direction of using and leveraging technology, and then also something that's user friendly for our riders and beneficial to the district.
2 questions. Number 1, would this cause us to have to increase the fees for the ridership?
I don't believe so, because the fee is with the user. It costs $2 to sign up on the app, so it's not a free app. It's $2, I think, every 6 months, but the price is for the district to sign on to the app. So everything, so our routes are integrated, and then there's a part for the bus drivers. So the bus drivers are interfacing with the app also, and they can let dispatch know, for example, with some of the specialty services, Dial a Ride and paratransit, that if the rider changes their destination or if they cancel their ride, that it may potentially save the district that, you know, sending the driver out to that location and then that rider declining the ride.
Is it similar to like when I was back in Indiana? At my hotel, I was supposed to have an Uber driver come pick me up and take me to my airport. And the Uber driver never showed, but another guy did show up. And when I was able to put it in, they were able to tell me, your Uber driver is on route, your Uber driver will be there in 10 minutes, your Uber driver's pulling up right now. Is it
Exactly.
sort of similar to
It's
that?
the same type of technology that it's gonna give that real-time interface, not only with the driver and dispatch, but also with your rider.
Okay,
Do you have a ballpark figure on the cost of?
I do not, they do not, they don't give out any type of free quotes based on, from my perspective. Also, I didn't wanna overstep my position here as a member of this committee. I felt that just collecting the information, presenting it to this committee, and then us deciding if this is something that we're interested in, and that we would like to make this recommendation to the executive board.
I think it would make things a lot more convenient for both the people, the ridership that would be using on a regular basis, especially senior citizens, for $2, even $2 a month, to me, I think would be fair if you're using the bus on a regular basis, but also for the bus drivers too. Because let's say they break down, they're able to let you guys know, and somehow they're able to adjust in the app, tell people, we're gonna have to send another driver out to Kelly Corners to pick up somebody, because the bus driver that normally would be picking up at Kelly's Corners and taking to Winston has broken down en route.
There are several apps out there, and I know that that has been a topic of discussion. To invest in one of these like real-time apps where the riders can see in real time where is the bus, so they know if they get to the bus stop and the bus isn't there, and they can see, oh, did I miss it? Did it already come?
Yeah.
Or, oh, you know, is it just running behind? So we have been looking at those. There are several vendors out there that provide it. I know Move It was one of them, and I'm trying to think of the names of the other ones, but they are at a lot of the conferences. They have a lot of vendors there. And I don't know, Natasha, do you know if there was any other specific ones that have been discussed in the past? Since you've kind of been on.
Not that I'm aware of. I'll have to look at my conference notes to see who all was there because I want to say there was maybe 5. There was a lot. I think in regarding Ashley's statement about not overstepping, I think our first step would be to recommend to the full board to go to RFP for an app, because that's really going to be step 1.
Good.
Okay,
Yeah,
I agree, Natasha.
I have to admit, what Ashley described sounds like it would be a real benefit, but I
Yeah.
agree we need to see what's out there and do it right. So thank you,
Yeah.
Ashley, for at least bringing it forward.
Yeah,
okay, so I will make sure that when
Does it
I
need a-
present all of this to the board at the board meeting this month on the third Monday of the month,
Do we need to make a motion on it?
you probably do. So I know whoever makes the motion, I would say what your what exactly it is you're
But-
motioning on.
Since we're making a recommendation for them to go to RFP, we don't need a motion.
Oh, thank you.
We're not making any decisions. We're
Okay.
just asking them
Just
to.
making a recommendation.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm so glad you're here, Natasha. I'm so glad to see you.
Thank you.
thank you, Natasha.
Cause I haven't been involved in any of these, so this is all new for me.
So we go to number 5 now?
Is there any more discussion?
I don't think so. I think you're.
No,
gonna
I
pick
just,
it up.
if I can mention anything else, I think that the big part, outside of there being competition within these apps and the different providers offering different things, the foundational part of this is the user and understanding that the writer is gonna have the best experience. And so if they already have an app that's downloaded on their phone, something that they've already used before in other nearby cities, say Grants Pass, Medford, Eugene, Portland, and they're already using this app, then the transition to using it within our district and the mapping is all going to overlay and be more coherent within the district. So it's not just us kind of out on our own ship in the
Right.
app.
And I think a lot of these apps too, because I know we're looking at an app to do automated fares. Where they can just, scan the app on their phone and it deducts the money and there's not always the cash that has to go back
I
and
was
forth. So I
reading,
think some of them
I
have
was reading
options to do
something
that as
into
well.
this, what you were saying, and this, the Move It had an option for
Mhm.
that it can customize everything so it's not just showing the Move It
Right,
logo and whatever, it's
It's
can be
also-
all marketed
right.
for this specific.
And that's a safety thing for the drivers and they don't have to worry about being held up because they have cash or whatever on them.
yeah, the cash is kind of in a locked box that they don't have
Okay.
access to remove anyways, so it
Good.
would be
All right.
very
And this app,
difficult
if you book your ride and say something changes on your end, you can cancel your ride without it affecting the bus or the capacity that's on the bus.
Mhm.
That's great.
So-
When is that board
And-
meeting, the executive board meeting? What day is it on?
It is
third?
it's on the 16th of this month, so.
On the 16th. So is it possible, maybe our co-chair Ashley Hicks can, if you can go to that meeting, so if they have any questions, you as the
Well, I'll do
co-chair
my
can already
best,
be there.
yeah. I mean, it sounds like Natasha and others have already been to these conferences,
Yeah.
maybe ahead of the game for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm new to the board and also I've been playing catch up with just trying to figure out what the needs are
Yeah,
and what we can do with the less amount of money to make the largest amount of impact.
yeah.
And just an update on the dispatch, the call center issues that we had with the queue. Those issues have been resolved.
Yay,
So
good job.
we figured
Wonderful.
out what the problem was and we got it fixed. So,
Wonderful, good,
the call center is now functioning much more efficiently.
good to hear, thank you.
So I thought you might like to hear that, Kathy. Cause I know that's been a topic of discussion, but I will update the board with it, on the 16th as well.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay,
And
number,
that's a great idea, Ashley. I know we have been talking a little about that as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Excellent
My
job.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Great.
Here to help.
Number 5, review ridership for fixed route in demand response and A, informational only.
Yeah, so, I did provide a bunch of ridership for you guys last month, and it hasn't changed unfortunately. Crystal with the holidays has not, been able to get, November done, so it hasn't changed from the information that I sent out to you guys last month.
Any
And it would have
questions?
just been an informational only.
Okay, any questions on that one? Okay,
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, just real
Mhm.
quick. Is there some sort of ridership survey or something that kind of goes along with those so we can see if there's any feedback?
We
from
haven't done a
riders?
ridership survey for a while. I can check with Crystal and find out when the last one that we did was. I know it's been a while back. But yeah, we haven't done any surveys here recently.
Okay, I just thought, I just wanted to check. Thank you.
We can always, I can talk to the board and see about, adding that,
Okay.
getting a survey done.
6, review and discuss the proposed projects for the current grant opportunities. And A comes under that is opportunity for input on the projects.
So, I sent out my recommendation, the recommended funding allocations, and I know at the last meeting, we already made the recommendation for the 5310. So that's done. So this meeting is just specifically for the STIF funding. And this is the recommendations that we need to make to the board for the December 16th meeting, because they have to, approve them. And so that I can do the applications, and the application for the STIF funding is due in January. So it's just important that we make those recommendations in tonight's meeting.
Did
Okay.
you request the verbiage from, I can't remember what area it was. It wasn't Joe County. It was somebody on the coast maybe. So that we have the ability to move funds between projects easier.
Yes,
We're talking
so,
about-
yes. So as you guys can see on the paperwork, and I can put it up online for those of you, I can share.
Is it the project 1 and project 2?
Yeah, but then there's 3 and there's a second page to it.
Yes,
you
there
get-
is. Yes, there
Okay,
is.
very good. Dick, do you have your copy? I can still share, it doesn't matter. And I know Dick, also wanted me to talk about, oh, hold on. The budget,
Yeah.
yeah. There we go. Okay, so let me go back. Nope. Not that one.
You can never find it when you want it.
I know. Here we go. There it is. All right, can you guys see it? On the
Yes.
Screen, let me make this smaller. It's not in our way. Okay, so I have laid out, I have laid this out in a way that it matches exactly how we are using the funds today, for this fiscal year. Or for this biennium, I guess I should say. So as you can see, this project 1, this is all, it's population-based funding. And this funding has to be, allocated for, senior and disabled, that demographic. And so right now, our task 1 in our current STIF plan, goes to pay for the match that is required for the 5310 funding for our call center. And our call center does all of the dispatching for all of our dial ride and paratransit rides.
That's here, that happens here.
That happens here in Roseburg. They also handle the calls for the city of Reedsport, the drivers that we have out there. They get a portion of our 5310. They're the contracted services that we have that we pay.
The city of Reedsport.
The city of Reedsport.
Okay.
They have
That's
two
good.
of our vans out there in Reedsport, and they do paratransit and dial-a-ride services
Okay.
out there. So this STIF funding right now is also paying for that project. The match for the city of Reedsport. It is also, right now, it is paying for the actually, it's paying for Sunrise and DRTF. They are local companies, that provide dial-a-ride type services with their own vehicles, but they do it for their own client, like their clients, but,
They're disabled clients.
they are, but we give them, they have applied to receive some of our funds.
What's
This,
the percentage that we are supporting their business?
it's not very much, so right now we're supplying DRTF and Sunrise, but for this biennium, which is, part, the recommendations that you're looking at, only Sunrise has applied for some of those funds, DRTF did not apply for any funds. And we generally give them $3,000 a quarter, it's a very small amount.
Okay.
So that's included in this project.
Do they have plans to be self-sufficient or fully self-funded, or is their long-term goal?
That I don't know, and maybe Natasha can educate us a little bit on that. Do you know anything about?
Well, historically, it was recommended by the state for agencies that provided supports to people with intellectual and developmental disability to reach out to their local transit district to tap into these ODOT funds, because we do not have the capability to do that without attaching ourselves to the local transit district. It's UHI doesn't, UHI, Sunrise, DRTF, we don't have the capability of receiving these funds in any other capacity other than applying to them through you guys. So historically, all three of us have actually received funds.
We used to have quite a few.
Yeah, and I
But-
think it was probably more than that.
Mhm.
Agencies like mine and probably DRTF, we've just changed transportation to where we don't provide transportation like that to the people we serve anymore. It's not that the requirement's not there. We just don't do it because we're not getting enough from you guys to offset that. So it was a cost for us to provide that service, even though we were receiving money from you. So my guess, and this is a guess because I'm no longer attached with Sunrise Project. So
Okay.
my guess would be that they would have to cut services if they didn't receive those funds. That is a guess on my part, though.
So
Okay.
just by example, what are you doing if you're not getting these funds? How do you handle transportation?
We can still bill some dollars, and so that's the transportation we're providing. We are not doing anything that is outside of billable service. And so this allows them to do things which, you know, with the federal government and the state, there's always a million restrictions for every dollar that we are able to bill for. And these funds are less restrictive. They're still restricted, but they're less restrictive. So for instance, if I am taking somebody to the doctors, we cannot bill for that. And so we make sure that we are very coordinated with our transportation. So we have somebody who coordinates that entire process, which is crazy, but that's the way things are done.
Okay,
I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Task number 5 is the demand response preventative maintenance for our vans that we use for UPTD. And then the UPTD, the task 6 is UPTD para, that bucket fund, it goes to pay like our drivers' wages, their benefits, any supplies, all of that. So as you can see, I have a column that says for the biennium 25 to 27. That column represents
$6,000.
my projection for what each one of those tasks is going to cost us for the
Okay.
2 years.
All right.
Does that include cost of living raises?
It does include some cost of living raises, yes. So, and then the column next to that is the federal funding, so we already know that we will have $803,095 of federal funds to help with the call center. That's the 5310 funding. And then UPTD is going to have to fund, pay some of our funds to help take care of the call center.
That's the
And-
47,891.
And then the last column, that's the STIF recommendations, the allocation recommendations. So I have put in funding there, $91,918. So between the STIF funding, our UPTD funding and the federal funding, that equals that 942,909.
Okay.
So that's just to kind of give you an idea of how it's laid out. And the city of
Sorry, what is
Reedsport,
the 900? Sorry, what is the 900? What number did you just say?
$942,904. That's what is projected.
The
The
biennium,
expenses for the call center
Yeah.
for the
Gotcha,
biennium.
gotcha. Got it. Thank you.
The total, yeah, the total expenses. And then City of Reedsport, they have applied for $150,000. We would like to make that happen because the City of Reedsport, they really do need the services out there.
yeah, they do.
And we would really like to be able to continue to provide those services.
And is this paying drivers? Do you know?
This is paying drivers, yes, yes.
Okay.
So as you can see, next to the City of Reedsport in the STIF column, I have $80,000, and then we have 70,000 of federal funds that they will receive, which is the 150,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Just-
And
No, and I have a question, but Dick's,
go ahead, Dick.
okay, yeah, is that any of that new, or is that pretty much continued service?
That's continued service.
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah, it's continued service. I think that they are trying to expand to a second day a week, where they're going to Coos Bay. So they have some clients that they take, I think, one day a week right now to Coos Bay, and they're hoping to be able to expand a little bit and do a second day. So I think that that would, help them achieve that.
so
And
folks can get on the bus here and ride to Reedsport
no.
and go to Reedsport and then come back.
No, we don't
No.
have any services that go from Roseburg to Reedsport. Reedsport is just Reedsport. They're picking their people up in Reedsport and they're taking them to doctor's appointments. Like I said, one day a week to Coos Bay, but most of it is in and around the
And
Reedsport
do
area.
they have any designated funds to try to cover any of the services that they're utilizing over there?
They
Like
don't,
a transient
so
lodging tax or any
Mm.
type of in
that would,
anything?
that would be something we'd really have to ask them, but this is literally the city of Reedsport.
Goes back
It's,
to billable, right?
yeah, the police chief is actually like in charge of this program. And they're leasing 2 of our vehicles, which.
To
and
be able to
that's-
utilize it over
And so
there.
when they need maintenance there in Reedsport, because it's 2 hours away, so where do they go get it maintained or maintenance?
That is up to them.
To the chief or the
It's
police
up to
department?
them that we have a vehicle maintenance plan that they have to follow because they are our
The
vehicles
schedule.
and owned, and paid for with federal funds. So they
And the
have.
chief of police does he come out here and ever have a meeting with you all and?
We just recently had a meeting with them. A couple of employees went down there and met with them.
Okay.
So, that we are going to have more oversight and better communication with them moving forward.
Yeah, cause it is like 2 hours plus drive one way.
Mhm.
Well, I'm just wondering if they have some sort of long-term goal with, I mean, if they want to continue the relationship and as the riderships grow. What is the long-term plan? Are they expecting our district to grow and continue to bring in more funds to prop up?
They are
Doing-
part of our district. They are
They are.
already a part of our district. So by them providing the service, it actually saves us money.
Mhm.
So if we were to bring this in-house and do it ourselves, it would cost us that 60 cents per mile, and there's no way, they're billing way more than that. So
Yeah.
this actually, Cheryl did a report, gosh, 5 years ago, Dick. Do you remember? It was so long ago. Anyways, it was a long time ago. Showing us, I'll look, Ashley. I have no clue if I kept it from that long ago. But she showed us
might be able to
how
find something.
how outsourcing paratransit and dial-a-ride is better, especially when it's further away from the hub.
Mhm. Well, and that's my question, that's my follow-up question is. If we were contrasting this service. With. Private ride share like Uber or Lyft, I mean, how much more money would the district be saving? But if it's specifically paratransit that's
Mhm.
operating over there, I kind of wonder, what is the ridership numbers? Is this program being supported for a handful of people, or is this make sense?
No, it's quite a bit, actually,
And then I
think
wonder
have-
about dial-a-ride, if maybe dial-a-ride couldn't be, maybe transitioned into a ride share supported program. I mean, that would potentially.
How
save thousands
active is there a ride share over there? I don't know the answer to that.
Over there, I have no idea. I know that when my dad was still with us, he was living at Eagle Landing on the VA campus, at the back door of the VA campus and Eagle Landing. A lot of their veterans and seniors there were using dial ride. It was very, very important to them.
Mhm.
So I don't know how it is now because he passed in 2020, so I haven't really kept up on.
We have a pretty
I-
good hotel out there, I can tell you that,
I just know when I moved here, because I used Uber and Lyft all the time in Southern California, and there are none here. And if we don't
Mhm.
have any here, I would wager that they don't have it on the coast.
We have
And
two now, Kathy.
The city of
So that
Roseburg-
we've gotten 2 Ubers.
Yeah, the city of Roseburg has.
So that's in 5 years, we've gotten 2 Ubers.
The city of Roseburg has policy that they've adopted that allows Uber and Lyft both to operate
Yes.
here. And
Correct.
the majority of the time that I visit Walmart, there's an Uber or Lyft sitting parked out front. The hospital, just the same. Many of the clinics in town will often have a designated waiting area right outside of the clinic for Uber and Lyft drivers. So,
Well, and this funding that is paying for this is the population-based funding, which does have to be used for senior disabled clients. So I think it fits right in
Is-
line with that, and it is part of our transportation, the master transit plan and all of that. It's part of the plan that we've created.
but as time moves forward, technology becomes a bigger part of all of our lives. And the mobile devices that many of our seniors are, they have their cell phones and the Uber and Lyft are right there on their cell phone. The same thing that I described with the Move It app, Uber and Lyft provides with their app service. So they have their card information in the app. They flag their ride. They know exactly who's picking them up. And when I'm looking, not at this budget, but at the budget that the executive board had just recently went over. I seen somewhere there that it was $60 or $70 an hour for that service. And I just think in comparison, the same ride could be provided for $12, under $20. So if have a dial-a-ride or a paratransit driver out at $70 an hour, or, that's a substantial amount of money for waiting, going to the destination, picking them up, taking them back. I mean, $70 compared to just a few dollars an hour is gonna make a huge difference on the budget. So I just.
We have a lot of
But
seniors.
go ahead, were you gonna say something, Masha? Or-
I was gonna say something. I know that our executive committee is very cognizant of budget and all of that. And we are also looking how to streamline and improve, and we're looking into all these matters. But that's not really what you guys are dealing with right now. And I think it's good that you're encouraging us to do that. But right now, we're trying to get what your recommendations are to give to us for right now. And we are looking ahead. I do appreciate that, Ashley.
We also have to be also aware of the fact there's a lot of senior citizens that my dad was one of them, and there's a lot of them where we live up in a 55 and over community.
A lot
They
of
were,
them,
they
they don't know the
refuse.
technology, they don't
Yeah,
know
Yeah, they
how
want
to
a
use
phone
it.
number so they can call.
Yeah, they don't want an iPhone, they don't want an Android, they want just a Cricket or a flip phone only. So, yeah, so that.
Well,
wouldn't
there's
work for
certainly
them.
gonna be a transition with
Mhm.
any change that what the district makes, and especially with our senior population, nobody likes change. So clearly, if there's gonna be change implemented, it has to be in small doses. And that doesn't affect this, but I'm just saying that, they're forecasting out into future years, we may be able to utilize the money a little bit more responsibly.
Right.
So we can move on, please.
Well, I
Okay.
would be interested in knowing what the cost per mile is for those services. I don't know if, I mean, we haven't received that number in a really long time, because it might benefit us to make decisions, maybe not for this time specifically, but for next time. The ability to say that this is cost saving or that it's not, and what does that look like? And
Yeah.
TriMet is piloting a Uber. So they're utilizing Uber for what? For oh my gosh, why did I just forget what it's called? Picking up groceries. There's a name for that. Instacart. They're utilizing Uber for Instacart, and it's going to save them $1 million this fiscal year. I mean, by any
Dial-a-dash, there's Dial-a-dash.
for what?
It's called Dial-a-dash.
Well, so what they're doing is they're actually providing the service. They're providing the Instacart services for people that are eligible for Dial-a-Ride and paratransit, because what they're finding is people about one time a week, they were using those services to go to the store to go grocery shopping. And so now instead of utilizing, and specifically in Portland, it might be like a 40-minute ride to get to the grocery store and back. So now instead of utilizing that service, they use Uber to just do a home delivery, and they're estimating to save $1 million this year. It's insane. Now it's TriMet,
Wow.
so they're that's a nickel in
Well,
their
and so
pocket, but
And they still have to qualify in regards to their income, just the same for the other service.
it's not an income. It's disability or senior. So it's people with
Oh,
it's
okay.
age or identified disability.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think Jennifer Boardman, when we were looking at Reed Sports applications, I think that she determined that they are actually providing the rides cheaper than what we could provide them for sure. I don't know exactly what that number is, but we did compare the two. We wanted to make sure that that it wasn't costing more for them to be doing the rides versus us, providing rides. So they were like $5 or $6, I think, cheaper than
Good.
what we could.
Well, I'm glad
provide
we're
for.
able to provide the service over there and how we're able to.
So where were we? We were at the Sunrise client. So the Sunrise client only services, like I said, they're projected to be $24,000 over the biennium. And comes out to be $3,000 a quarter. The preventative maintenance on our vans we're projecting that to be 56,000 for the 2 years. 50,000 of that will be covered by the federal funds. And then the match is the only thing that I have in that allocation for the STIF funding. The paratransit, the UPT paratransit, of course, that's projected to be $592,056 for the 2 years. And like I said, that covers our drivers, all of their wages, their benefits, all of supplies, anything that we need for the paratransit services, fuel, all of that.
Do they assist with the riders getting on and off?
They do.
Okay.
Yep, they have a lift on their van, so if they have somebody with a wheelchair, they have to, use the lift, and they do assist them.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah,
That's true on the fixed route as well.
okay. Thank you.
yes. because of our, it's the fixed route that triggers the paratransit, correct, Natasha?
Correct. We have to provide
Yes. We have
paratransit
to
within X
provide-
amount of miles within any fixed route.
Yes.
Okay.
And so then the second, project number 2,
Wait,
that
can I
is,
go back to task 7?
yes, oh,
What
sorry.
is that?
I kind of skipped that for right now. So ODOT is projecting for us, ODOT projects to us what they're planning for us to receive.
Yeah.
So
I see.
ODOT is projecting us to get in the population-based funding only $646,894 over the 2 years. That's where all of these, if you add all of these
I did.
rows together, they should math out correctly,
They
did
did.
they? Okay,
Good.
the 122,242. So ODOT tells us when we build our application for the STIF funding to like buffer in 20% over. Well, that 646,894, that projection is a new projection that just came out this month. And when I spoke with Jennifer Boardman, she said that they want us to do the 20% over what was projected in August, which was slightly less. So that 122,000 does not math out to 20% of the 646. And that is why, because they wanted us to do the 20% over the older projections. So that just means that we need to discuss what we want to do with where we. In the past, Cheryl has added that 20% to all the different tasks. But then the confusion became, if we didn't really receive that funding,
Yeah, you're not gonna spend it out.
you don't wanna, yeah, so. Jennifer Boardman recommended that we create a separate task
Mhm.
for that 20%. And then we just know that that's the 20%. If we don't get it, we don't
That's a great
spend it.
idea. Right, yeah, absolutely separate
And
from
it's
anything else.
a lot easier to track that way.
Mhm.
But we do need to. We need to decide how we are going to, when we apply and do the application, they tell us to use, what does she call it? Vaguely descriptive language, so that in the event that we need to use it, we can pretty much use it for any of those other tasks if we need to. Or we can have language in there where we can maybe use it for a new project as well. And maybe something like getting new, like the Move It app or,
Right.
you know, something like that.
Mhm.
So that's
Or
where you guys,
marketing or
yes,
anything, just
exactly.
something that has to.
So that's where you guys are gonna have to come up with those recommendations, but that's what that task number 7 is, Natasha.
Thank you.
So we're just
Sherry?
gonna-
I
Yes,
think that is so great.
Mhm.
Because it was just a nightmare before.
it was a
So
nightmare
that's
before.
excellent.
I know
And
that it was very confusing for the board, when you're
Yeah.
not looking at it every day and you don't really know what you're looking at to try and understand like what is going on, but that's
Thank
That's
you.
what was happening with that prior with the STIF plan that we're working on now. That's the problem we were having, is that she added the 20% to all the tasks and then was drawing it down as if we received it, but we really weren't receiving it.
Right. Yeah, that's excellent. And I do encourage you guys, like you said, if you can make it as vague as possible, that just gives us so much more latitude as well. So I
Yeah.
think that's a great idea. Thank you so much.
Any
You're just
other?
gonna identify it as a discretionary fund, or it'll be a reserve fund.
Yeah, we don't really wanna call it, I mean, we could call it a reserve, but I think that we need to have some descriptive language in there, but we need to make it vaguely descriptive. So
Expansion
that
of
we're not,
service.
yeah, that we're
It's an
not,
expansion.
we don't wanna lock it into only
Yeah.
being able to use it for this
Can
or
we say
that.
open expansion fund?
Um,
What is Jennifer, is she on the,
I did
Call.
not
What
see
is-
Jennifer on here tonight.
is that something we have to identify tonight, or can it just stay reserved until the board? Or until Jennifer,
Do you know the answer to that, Natasha? Could we,
Gosh, well, historically, we have always just cited the projects that we wanted to move forward, including those that were in possible land.
Okay.
And we
just-
did get in trouble for being too restrictive, so I
yes,
feel like there's probably an in-between in that land of we want to identify that if we have the funds,
I
we
think that if
plan
you
to look
guys-
at software and, like, but leave it
Yes.
generic and like software, because that could mean anything for all of those lands.
Right. So
How-
I think tonight you
Good.
guys should probably come up with some language. And just, I mean, these are just recommendations to the board, so, hopefully by then I can get some answers from Jennifer.
Dick is trying to say something.
Go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, ask Jennifer, because, we don't want to tie it down too much, and she obviously has thoughts on it, so just run with that. And the
I
board,
mean, I think if you guys just give some ideas, like Natasha said, software and maybe, I don't know. A couple other things
Can we
or,
just say infrastructure or something like that, and then it applies that it's, could be internal or external based off of.
very possibly,
Yes.
Okay. And then, because I don't see anything else, any other line items that reference infrastructure.
So they can,
And that qualifies as for the funding, so it makes sense that it kind of stays under there, and then it would be like the umbrella under, if you wanna do the app or the software, if you. Put it towards shelters or another route or anything, I mean, it would just be the same thing, infrastructure.
And then on December 16th, the executive board can
Yeah.
get more
tweak it or something
clarification
to
from
the-
Jennifer.
yes, we can
Okay.
probably do it that way. Do we have any more questions? I think I'll just go through all of it and then over the next sections, projects 2 through 7, I think. And then we can talk about the reserve buckets,
Sounds
a
great.
little bit more at the
Okay.
end. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So project 2 through, what is it, 8? So project two and 3, and then, oh yeah, it is project 2 through project 8. So project 2 consists of, right now, it consists of funding that pays for our fixed route services. It is payroll based and it can be used for pretty much anything. The population based funding is restricted to the senior and disabled and veterans and that kind of thing. But the payroll based can be used for pretty much anything. Right now, task 1, Roseburg route, that pretty much pays for our drivers' wages, benefits, fuel, all of that for just the Roseburg route. That would be your red and green line. And then task number 2 is our Roseburg Saturday service. So this is those are the projections for the biennium for the Roseburg fixed route, Monday through Friday and Saturday services. Then you have task 3, that's our Sutherland route. Task 4 is our Winston route, and then task 5 is our SoCo route, which is South County.
Which one of those ones is the one that picks up and delivers at UCC?
Probably our Roseburg route.
Is the Roseburg
Yeah,
route,
the
okay.
green one, I think.
Yeah.
And then are there a lot of kids using the ride free?
So,
17?
yeah, so the Kids Ride Free, that's also part of our master transit plan, and I
I
believe.
love that one.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite part about.
We do, we get it, it's generally about $400 to $600 a quarter is what we end up using the funds for, and that's about how many.
We've had
riders
kids
we-
getting on that quite a bit.
Oh, yeah,
Good.
oh, yeah,
Cool.
And the SoCo one is gonna take us to the casino.
the SoCo one goes down by the casino, yes.
Good.
Yeah.
We should market that one a little bit more.
I know Ben has some plans
Yeah,
to do a wrap.
I love
He's-
that.
He's very
You like the fact
excited
we're
to talk to
encouraging
the.
gambling?
try.
Yeah, I mean,
that's neat.
senior citizens, they love sticking their money in
Yeah, and then
those
they lose their
machines.
mortgages too, foreclosure.
And maybe they hit the jackpot and they can pay a few of them.
I don't see from a lot of them that's been going on. I see been more of them are losing their shirt.
I see them down there, they look like they're having a good time.
That's
They-
the
we-
objective, isn't it?
We always
Yes,
know,
they
we
should be
always
having
know
fun.
we always know the riders that come from the casino
Oh, I
when we
bet.
count the money.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's the smell of the casino.
That smells like money. I love it.
So on the very far right, under project 2, on the very far right, that's what ODOT is estimating for us to receive in payroll-based funding for the biennium.
Okay,
It's not gonna math out unless you do go all the way down to all the projects, Natasha.
I know, I already discovered that. Thank you.
Okay, and then, the reserve bucket is only gonna be 20% of the projections from August, not the newest ones.
Okay.
And then,
so that's $4,000 for the 2 years. Okay, or is
yeah,
it 6?
nope, it's 4,000 for
Okay,
the
so
2
it's
years. for the
2,000
kids'
for
ride free.
projected and
Mhm.
4,000 for the, okay, I see. All right,
It's 2,000 for a year, so then the biennium is 4,000.
okay, got it.
Mm-hmm. The task 8, the Roseburg YMCA collector, currently we have had money, that Cheryl built into the plan to expand our services to cover a Roseburg YMCA collector. We have not been able to start that project.
What would that look like? I mean, what is the idea for that?
Natasha, I do not really know what
Honestly,
that's
I
like.
do not remember.
It might
I
be
do
in
not
that
know.
master transit plan that you guys have. Unfortunately, I don't know because I was not really involved in a lot of the conversations. I could go back and look at some videos and see if I could figure out what their thoughts were and if
In
it's.
my research, I have not heard any verbiage or any, anything mentioned that anything I've reviewed.
Yeah, nothing
Okay.
about the YMCA. at
But
all.
there's also not any, monetary values assigned to that, so.
Right,
that just
and that's
in
because
flux?
we haven't had the funds to start those projects, so I didn't put any allocation in for them this time. I would just caution you all just to remember that we're kind of in, with our
Infancy.
financial issues,
Mhm.
we're, it's gonna bleed into the 25 through 27 biennium, we're not gonna crawl out of this overnight. And when I built this, I built it in mind with just keeping our current services running.
Yeah. smart.
So that we don't have to decrease any services, so I didn't add anything into those projects because we haven't started them. And at this point, it really is kind of taking everything that we have to just keep the current services. up.
Without adding anything additional.
Right,
Right.
So is this promised in somewhere?
well, it's not promised in, but so task number 7 is that. We have $567,000 to build in that 20% over. And you guys could say, let's take that and divvy it out over these other projects in the event that we get that money, we might be able to expand those services. So that's why I didn't put a value in there.
Happen with it.
I
Leave
figured
it
that
the-
would be something that you guys would discuss.
Yeah, leave it the way you've got it. It's good. That makes sense. It won't screw anything up.
We never know if we're gonna get that 20%, and. It's not guaranteed that we will even get what ODOT projects, so it's very important for us to keep track of what we're actually receiving.
Agree.
They do a pretty good job, like the biennium before the one that we were in now, we got every bit of the money that they projected to us, so I haven't gone in to see how close we are to what, to getting what they've projected us to get through the end of this biennium. I haven't had time to look at that, but,
So if
I would
any
be
of those,
curious. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I'd be curious what might be listed in the master transit plan, because that would be something that we would need to make sure we're following
Right.
close to those recommendations, or request
Well,
that
and
the
I'm
board
pretty
edit the
sure,
master plan.
yeah, I'm pretty sure these Roseburg, that YMCA collector and the Saturday services and the SoCo collector, I'm pretty sure that in the Lifeline, I know that, I'm pretty sure those are all under
They're all,
transit.
I feel like they're
Yes.
listed. Those are feelings, though. I don't like.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain that I've seen information in there about them. And, you know, we were really hoping to be able to get some funding with Josephine County on that Lifeline with, Josephine County, but, I think with our financial issues, we were not eligible for any, discretionary funds.
I
So
understand.
we ended up not being able to.
Before we move forward, before this committee moves forward with adding any allocations to any of those, would it be fair? Would our committee think that that would be fair to have a presentation or some more information about what exactly those collectives look like with, so.
If you guys
Southern
wanna
Cone
try and
YMCA?
squeeze in another meeting before the 16th, we could try to do that if you'd like to. get some
Well, it's
information.
completely up to you guys. I just, if these are projects that have already been identified and they are in the state master transportation plan, then it would be kind of nice to have some sort of,
Supported.
yeah, it would be nice to, kind of have an idea of what that looks like out ahead of the, adding the monetary values to those.
Okay,
I can.
and okay. I could also go, I could pull up some numbers that were in there in this current biennium, some figures that she had in there.
That would help a lot.
Yeah, and then just what exactly that service is gonna look like on the
The
ground.
more information we can get, we can make better informed decisions.
Okay, I can get that probably tonight. If you guys wanna
Okay.
give me just a couple of minutes, I can pull it
Okay.
up, but I'll finish just going through this and then you guys can do some discussion while I just pull those numbers, cause I can get them very quickly.
Okay,
So task 9, 10, and 11 and 12, those were all projects that we have not started. But they are in our current plan and something that Cheryl was hoping that we might be able to, do at some point. Project 3 is the project that covers our dial ride services. So
Sherry,
yes.
I'm sorry. I just wondered, is the total project amount, is that the tasks 1 through 8 or 1 through 6 added together?
That is, it should be 1 through 12. It should be 1 through,
yeah, it's 1 through 12.
yeah. It should, that
So-
number there should include that 567,000, I believe.
So
I don't,
so we could technically have more if the estimated amount is 3 million and we have the 3.6 and the total project is 2.8.
no, because we still have projects 3 through 8
So
that fall under
Kathy,
that as well.
yes, I think the answer to your original question is correct. It's
Okay.
tasks 1 or project, sorry, it's project 2 through, and then scroll again, Sherry. 2 through 4 are all in that first number, that 3 million, blah, blah, blah.
2 through 5, oh,
Yeah.
2
Or
through
through 6.
2 through 6.
No, because it's also including down here, task number 2 and project number 4. So it's projects. I'm not looking at tasks. I mean, it's including
Total project 2.
total projects, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, okay, because then we're getting into, it's another project
Yep.
that it interlaps with the,
Yep.
okay, I thank you.
Yeah.
It does,
That
Project 2
explains
has
it.
12 tasks.
yeah.
Okay,
Project 2
thank
is
you.
12 tasks.
Sorry about
Project,
that.
no, this is when it starts to do the thing that makes lots of sense.
Yeah.
Yep. Project 3, is there a task 1?
I think that's just a typo. Right now, well, so what happened was the biennium that we're in now, there was paratransit services as a task 1. and so there was 2 tasks under project 3, and I'm just making it just the one because we're really funding the paratransit mostly out of that,
Got it.
the task up here in project 1.
So, okay, so there's task 1, we see task 2, and then task 3 is missing.
Where at?
It goes to the next.
It goes
The
2
task 1.
and then 4.
These are project, that's a task.
Oh,
So
okay.
project 3,
Oh, project
but,
3, okay.
but
So,
she is
so
right.
in
So
the
there is only
beautiful,
going to be 1 task for
right,
project, not
right.
2.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the beautiful land of the FTA, what they do is they allow us to build as many projects as we want. And then you can build as many tasks within a project.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have extra money, you can either move money from task to task within one project, or you can move money from project to project. But once you decide, so say this quarter we had extra funds and we decided to move extra funds from task 3 to 2 because we needed more in 2. Next quarter, when we have extra funds, we cannot decide, well, this time we're going to move money from this task, this project to this project, because we already decided in this biennium that we were keeping all that money within one project.
Mhm.
Okay,
It's, I don't even know what the right words are. Crazy. Like it's super
is crazy.
illogical.
And they won't, and you cannot, move money from, like, if we had a capital project
Yeah,
and we
no.
weren't gonna do the capital project now because we didn't have the money and we wanted to move those funds into operations, we can't do that.
There
Like, there's
is
things that we
verbiage that we can add that makes it
Right.
easier to move money. And that's the verbiage I was referring to earlier. And I will say easier to move money, not easy.
Not easy.
Still
Easier.
ridiculous process.
Vaguely
easier.
descriptive, that's what Jennifer keeps telling me, vaguely descriptive.
So what
Like
is
support the YMCA collector.
Well, that's probably, that's really limiting to just that project, and we don't want
to do
to do
that.
that.
Task, yeah.
Yeah,
I have a-
instead we could say something like, we will use these services for expansion. And then that really just allows us to go to everything.
Have a
Right,
little bit more flexibility.
Yes,
yeah.
To be a little bit more fluid, right?
correct.
So clarification, capital improvement projects that have been approved, that have money allocated, can only be used for other capital improvement projects but they can't be used for, say, operations or.
Right. A
Yeah,
capital grant. a
ODOT
capital
has
grant-
granted it randomly. And for lack of a better word, they don't make that easy.
Mm-mm. Okay.
So when would be the appropriate time to, and then would it be our board, would it be appropriate time for our board to, or somebody from the board to present a suggestion for a new project? Is that time already passed?
Yeah,
or is
right
this
now.
So this is
We
the
can-
time, you guys are making your recommendations, you guys can, if you wanna add a new project, we can add a new project. These are just, I just laid it out to show you how our funds are currently being spent. And what those services are costing, what the expenses actually are costing. So that you can see, what it's gonna take to sustain what we have, and then if we have the extra money, like that 20% over, if we get that, you guys can decide to create a new project.
And-
So would it be appropriate to pitch an idea for a project now without exactly having funding identified? Or could say a project be presented or an idea for one now and then with a plan that it would be funded out? Some maybe potentially with a percentage of what's available
Yeah.
in this biennium, and then it would, if it was a large enough project, go out into the future and then continue on being something that
As,
works
as-
on.
yeah, I'd rather just say if we get lucky and have new money, we can sit down and figure out where to spend it. We've got the list that shows priorities from the plan apparently that are not funded now, so we'd have to look, I would think we'd look at that list, say, okay, of those, which rises to the top. I don't want to have to do homework when we don't think, when right now it doesn't look like we're gonna have that. That's just
Well,
my lazy way of looking at it.
I respectfully, I've read through the state transportation master plan. I'm a bit familiar with the priorities for our area specifically. And a project that is transportation, a transportation infrastructure project that would be a capital improvement is talking about rebuilding the Alexander footbridge between the fairgrounds and the historic Mill Pine district on Mill Street. It's a large project, overall estimate be about $3-4 million in total by the time that it's finished. But it's a feasible project. It's identified on the state master plan. It's identified within the Douglas County road project or road master plan. The city of Roseburg has a downtown bike and pedestrian plan, and the state ODOT has a 123 interchange IAP plan that has this project that's already been identified as a priority project.
They've already got some approvals for at least 2 of those.
But is it a project that transportation would be
That's
involved
my
in?
question. Is it a bus route or?
Well, it's definitely transportation that would be providing an opportunity to the most vulnerable in our community, and the highest densest neighborhood in the city of Roseburg would be the South Mill Pine Historic District. There's
Just
the highest,
before the Parrot House.
there's the highest amount of
We have a bus.
multi-generational housing, multi-family households, seniors with mobility chairs, all without access to the fairgrounds or to the bike pedestrian routes between Winston and Roseburg. And so rebuilding that footbridge,
So those are different funds. Our money cannot go to roads or to bridges.
Yeah, it has to
I
go
agree.
strictly
Okay.
to
I'd like to
transportation.
back up. here
Yeah,
and
I
get-
wish it would, but that's two different, that's ODOT. And we'd have to work, which you and I can work on a different project, but that'd be
Okay,
like
fine.
city, that'd be talking to the city of Roseburg County and ODOT to fund that project.
Go ahead, JC, you can say.
Yeah, our funds cannot be utilized for
Yeah, it strictly has to be.
infrastructure for us is bus structures, buses themselves.
Mhm.
That
Bus
it's
shelters.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's that type of stuff. It's not the road itself.
Right,
okay, well, I appreciate the clarification, because I was thinking that since this is a transportation district. And
It
there's
makes
state
sense.
transportation funds, and it being a capital improvement project, that it would make sense that the bus had the the ability to pick up at the fairgrounds. For those,
Pick up,
that-
yeah, we could
Yeah.
extend a route to the fairgrounds.
right, and then that would make it easier for the buses
Yeah.
to get both on and off the freeway, and then also pick up those additional riders that are coming from the Mill Pine district. The entire south part of the city is disenfranchised.
Okay, JC, go ahead.
I'd like to back up to the basics. We are transportation. I'm looking at the project number 5, vehicle purchases. I'm wondering what the status is of the current vehicles. Are there any that are wore out? Or do we need to prioritize some of this? Because the transportation is the primary project.
right. So we're getting there. Let me just go through just the project 4. So the project 3 is our dial-a-ride services. That's all of our drivers, fuel, all of that. And then project 4 is administrative. That's all of our administrative costs. That's me, the general manager, all of our administrative staff, our supervisors downstairs. All of the administrative costs, and that includes like our audits and everything.
Includes your benefits and
Everything, yeah.
retirement, everything. Okay.
Wages, benefits for the employees, all of our administrative fees as far as like, software, monthly fees, all of that is administrative, so that's a big expense. It's 1,967,000 for the 2 years. We will get $1,013 or 13,947,000 in federal funds to help offset that. UPTD will be pitching in 268,105, and then I have allocated 685,780 in STIF funds. I have projects 5 and 6, which are both capital projects. One is vehicle, one is the capital improvement building. Those projects were on this biennium's plan. All of the money has been spent in the vehicle purchases. We spent every bit of the funds with the 9 vans and 3 small buses that we purchased last year. The capital improvement building, that has pretty much, we used some of those capital funds to offset the increase to the vehicle purchases, when we ordered all the vehicles in 2021, and then they didn't come for 2 years. And of course, with them coming 2 years later came an increase in, cost. So the capital improvement building fund, helped to kind of offset that. We do have a little bit left over. However, at this point, and this is a discussion that the board is having with ODOT. At this point, ODOT is saying that the federal funds that we have, so we do have 1 vehicle on order, and that is due to be delivered this month. So the vehicle that's due now is not being counted in this plan for 25 to 27. Right now, we don't have any current plan to purchase new vehicles, for the mere fact that we really don't have the match funds that would be required. We did have 2 federal funds for capital for the building that, we were planning to purchase some land and build a new building and all of that, but the match that would be needed for those, for the capital improvement building project is about $1.3 million, and since we cannot prove to ODOT that we have the money, because we don't, and because the FTA has apparently said that we've purchased some equipment outside of the requirements for purchasing it, they closed our those grants down. So we do not have
no.
access to those funds at
Oh,
this
no.
point.
Okay,
The board has been in discussions with ODOT to see if they would, if we could get them reopened.
What
or
was
if
this
there's
about the
anything that can be done.
FTA said? That we
So
purchased equipment?
one of those federal funds was to purchase 3 electric buses and 3 electric charging stations, and it was to help build a new facility.
Okay,
And we purchased the electric charging stations. First, we purchased them, the purchase order was done prior to the actual execution of the grant agreement.
okay.
And secondly, they said that we did not complete a NEPA process, which is.
Oh, that was the article I
requirement.
read that Drew wrote that was really, he twisted the narrative and everything, so they were putting out the wrong kind, they took things out of context and they were twisting everything around to what was actually going on.
So we just,
Ah.
we have asked them to clarify, some things with the NEPA process part of it.
Right.
So we're kind of in limbo with that at this
Yeah.
point. But right now, I am not planning to have,
I didn't like that article because just by reading, I could say they were trying to make me think something that really didn't really appear to be there.
Yeah.
And they were like putting the cart before the horse in accusing you.
right.
so is it fair to say that ODOT is expecting the district to do the environmental assessments before applying for the grants, or is it supposed to be
No.
something that happens in between?
In between, it is something that is required to be done before you actually break ground or apparently buy this equipment, which has been, it
Area of
was
contention.
not, it has been an area of contention, and it was not,
Where is the equipment right
the
now?
equipment we have is downstairs. So when the equipment was purchased, it was under the impression that a NEPA process did not have to be done because we were not breaking ground to purchase the equipment. But now they're saying that it didn't matter, that it was intended to be put into the ground, so, you know.
So did you need to have the NEPA
They're
done
saying
to
that
store it
we-
in the? at
No,
this
they're saying that
facility?
we should have had the NEPA process done and completed before we even purchased the equipment.
Where was the box to check
Uh,
before you got to pay for it?
Yeah, and where was the paperwork that said the policy said in order to do this, you have to have had this?
well,
done?
it's part of the grant agreement.
It was
It's-
part of
It's
that.
part of the grant, it's written in the grant agreement.
the
It's just
people
Slightly
that-
poorly written.
The people that quit the boards like between last spring and this summer were part of that. And then all of a sudden they
Yes.
bailed after, oh, I get it now, okay. Okay.
Can we?
I would,
You guys, we're
yeah,
kind
I
of
think we need
getting,
to get back on topic.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, we're getting off topic. And this is something the board is actively dealing with.
Yes.
And we have an attorney and we're in talks with ODOT. So everything's gonna be okay. But there is a reason why there's not being projected any projected expenses in that area right now.
Got it, okay, understood,
Thank
we'll
you.
move on. Thank you, we'll move on. Didn't mean to put you on
No,
the
that's
spot.
okay. I just, I have to just be careful what I say too, because,
I
things
know,
are
because-
being
Being
discussed
audited and discussed,
yes,
yeah.
So,
And we don't wanna put the executive board in jeopardy.
no. So yes, I didn't project anything in these capital, projects. However,
And
if
can I ask for
we,
clarification?
Mhm.
Just to clarify, the vehicle that's coming next month has already been paid for.
that we still have the federal fund for, we still have access to those funds. It's been ordered for quite some time. And it is due to be delivered next month, and we have the match money set aside for that. And then, we'll get the federal reimbursement money
Okay,
on it,
Thank
so
you, I appreciate that.
it's about $270,000.
Is it a bus or a van?
It's a small bus,
Small bus, okay.
so.
And so project 8 will just put
So
us,
project 8, so I made a project up here, project 7, which was reserved for operations, and then I did another one. Down here for like maybe a capital project. And we might want to make one for capital for the purchase of, software or. Whatever,
Mhm.
that is up for you guys to discuss.
I'd really like to see some additional shelters, and if the shelters are out of the budget or out of reach for accommodating the locations that are needed, then at least look into some leaning benches or.
I know that you guys discussed it, I'm gonna go get those numbers off of our current STIF plan for those other projects, so you have them.
Another cookie?
If we could look at, whatever the minimum cost is for, even a leaning bench or something like that, if those could go in for the riders at those locations that don't have them.
I think there ought to be overhead cover too.
I would
Yeah.
love that. I know there's a cost associated with everything. Just taking a better look at the shelters. They're, heavy duty glass and
All right.
metal framing, like I'm
There's a
sure.
lot of good ones out
Go
there.
ahead, Dick.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just nuts to see people standing out there waiting for a bus next to a sign. And, they need protection. I'm wondering if there couldn't be some local funds that couldn't somehow be obtained. I mean, we do have sources in this community, and look at who it would be benefiting. It just, I hate to see the system without decent shelter for people waiting.
Yeah, really. Put out, you too can have your name on our bus stop. Huh?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
do
there
know
you
you
go.
guys.
That's
I
not a
can't-
bad idea.
I can tell you that Ben and the board are definitely looking into ways to get more donated money and that from the community. So this is an active project that we have planned in the very near future.
Good job.
Kathy,
Yes,
can I make a
thank you.
suggestion?
So,
To make
go
a
ahead.
suggestion to you guys, if there are more shelters go up, or even the current shelters. One of the problems a lot of people are having, even with reading glasses. They can't read the schedule because it's so tiny. That you can't really tell when the bus is gonna be arriving or taking off. So if they could possibly put some kind of permanent. With plastic over it or something up on the inside of these shelters. Where with little benches right there for them to sit on when they're waiting for the bus. Where there can be schedules posted inside these shelters on the glass that can actually be readable. Because I've gone to a couple of them that actually someone had taped up a schedule of when the bus was supposed to be arriving or departing. I could not read it even with my reading glasses, and I have almost a 3.0.
Ashley's app
I-
will kill.
I believe
well,
that's part,
And actually, oh, go
So-
ahead, Kathy.
so- we're a little bit into, so that's, I believe, one of the findings from the last audit was to make those schedules more accessible, so we don't need to spend time on that over here.
Right, okay.
The board's taking care of that.
Thank you, Natasha.
I'm curious, it has the idea of fundraising or doing some sort of community event,
Oh. So,
has that come
because once again, why would something be simple, Ashley? So if any money that is donated, anything that is done in kind has to be written into the plan right now. And gosh, this is one area that I cannot tell you the exact specifics. So I will make it up and tell you that I'm close-ish. So if we get the money in quarter 1, we have to then allocate it into quarter 1. And then either in quarter 3 or quarter 4, we're able to utilize it. So
Mhm.
fundraising is great, but it's a long-term plan, not we want to fundraise something for January 1st, because it doesn't work that way. And so, and like I said, I don't know the dates. I used to, but
Now,
that's been deleted
There-
from my memory, sorry.
there's another way to look at it. If it's privately raised and installed on either public or private property, it wouldn't be owned by the district. And, if it's on a sidewalk, it's in the right of way. If there's a business that says, yeah, move it over to the parking lot here, it wouldn't be owned, it wouldn't be owned by the district. Then maybe it would be donated, but I'm just thinking.
Yeah, you can do it. It's just there's a certain process in place for it because of course there is. And so it's not an easy task. It is something that I know the board's looking at, and they know that process. They know what the dates are, and if you get something donated in this quarter, it's available in that quarter, and it looks like this. Because you can use it for
To the
match.
best-
You can use it for
Yeah,
a
to the
lot of
best
different
of my-
areas.
To the best of my knowledge, any income that we receive that is outside of fare, actual has to do with actual transit services. So like, the advertising money that we get for letting people advertise on our buses. Or, if we get some fundraising money, any of that type of funds, we cannot use to cover the expenses in the quarter that we're currently in. We have to use them in the next quarter.
Okay, so it
And
has to
then-
sit there for a minute.
It does, and
Okay.
then also with Natasha talking about in-kind donations, those have to be written into the plan when we write the plan, when we do the application and do the plan. And there is a process that you have to be able to track and show how you're coming up with, that donation, how you came up with,
You have to
What
prove that those funds are really in-kind donation.
yeah, and it's.
So like an invoice from a contractor or something. So if you said, if several contractors wanted to build leaning benches for the locations that don't currently have them, then that contractor could just bill out and the district have an invoice for in kind that they could add into the next quarter. Would that
Yes, but
work?
we cannot build the item until the in-kind is accepted.
Mhm.
Until the invoice is reconciled or until the
No,
actual?
until it's
until
built
it's
into the plan.
Mhm.
Plan has to be accepted.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
it's a
So
process.
since we're accepting the
Say that.
plan now, could possibly that be worded in somewhere? So at least we have a plan to
That's
adjust
a
the,
Jennifer Boardman question. I do not know the answer to that.
Does the plan now not talk about that since it's, I mean, it's in the budget, although without any funds, but if it's in the budget, doesn't that mean it had to have been in the plan?
I thought there was like 20 or 30,000 left over in the budget for shelters.
So
I
we,
don't have it in front of me, but I thought
I
I
have
referenced
it.
that.
We had $23,000 in this plan for bus shelters.
So does it have to be for the actual metal and glass structure, the shelter, or could it?
It
could
says
that
bus
seem-
shelter purchase is what it says.
Okay.
That's the verbiage that's in the.
So is it
current
just,
state
is that
plan.
the amount it costs for one shelter, or can that amount be used across several locations for leaning benches or something just to get people up off the ground?
Well, actually, I think I think we're installing a semi-seat at this point. And I think that we are going to try and do more, because we do have some semi-seats already purchased.
Okay,
So it's
specifically
just-
the one on Garden Valley across from the shopping center, because that's the one that I notice is one of the most used ones.
I think that that's the one that they're talking about doing the semi-seat on.
Okay,
I think we're in the process of installing one,
okay,
or going to be very shortly. I think that's something that Andre's working on downstairs.
okay. And then I think there was also another stop over by the old mall, across the street from Walmart. That's also
Okay,
in needing of something for individuals to be up off the sidewalk.
so that's where you guys, you need to have your discussion, and if we want to allocate. Like I said, pretty much the funds that ODOT is projecting to us right now of actually receiving is pretty much gonna take still everything that we have, plus, federal funds, our money, to sustain what we currently have and to be able to give a cost of living raise and to our drivers and that kind of thing. But this extra 20%, you guys can say, I put 100,000 down here, and maybe we want to make a capital improvement budget and be vaguely descriptive and mention a few things, to purchase bus shelters or,
I think that's a great idea.
and put the money there so that if we do end up with additional money, or we do have some savings throughout the year that, we're not using as much of the funds as we thought we would need,
Agreed,
then we can,
or
do some
possibly there's
special
grants that
projects.
could be,
Well, and
vetted for
it's
just
really
that.
my hope that we get everything, I mean, I'm hoping that, at the end of December, and we can kind of put some of the past in the past and start looking forward and getting our improvements done and become compliant
Yeah.
and start doing things the right way and get out from under the microscope with ODOT, where
Yeah,
we
I
will
agree.
become
It
eligible.
looks like everybody's doing a great job. I mean, the last few meetings that I've watched that Michaela posted on YouTube, but just seems like the district has made leaps and bounds with the compliance issues and has a great team that are working really well together, so.
We are working, for sure. So,
it's
that is
appreciated.
our, that is, that is my hope, is that, you know, we can maybe turn over a new leaf with the new year and hopefully prove to ODOT that, you know, we've got it under control and we can get in their good graces and become eligible for some additional funding.
Excellent. So do we need to make a motion or just a recommendation to the board, or what do you suggest?
Well, like I said, the figures that I have in green are really what we're gonna need to sustain. These reserve bucket, these figures here, this 122, the reserve bucket down here, 567, and the 100,000, for capital, those are things that you guys, I think you should discuss and decide how you want to word those reserve buckets.
Mhm.
Or if you want to put more than 100,000 under the capital section. I just put 100,000 in there just to throw a number in there. This is really all up to you guys.
And that
Um,
still aligns with meeting the current demands and,
Yes, because that would be the 20% over. That would be where ODOT has told us to plan an additional 20% over.
okay,
Because if we don't build in 20% over and the tax base comes in higher
yeah.
and they get
we're
more
upside down
tax
again.
money than what they're projecting us to get, if we don't ask for it, we don't get it. But if we ask for it
And it's there.
and it's there, we'll get it. If we ask for it and it's not there, we won't get it. But if we don't ask for it, then we will not get it if the
Okay,
taxes
that
come in
makes
higher.
sense. Okay.
So that's what the 20%,
Anybody else have any comments or questions about anything?
Well, I mean, I would be ready if everybody is agreeable to make a motion to approve it with those reserve buckets, just as separate buckets, and the wording to come from the board, i.e. from Sherry's discussion with what's her name at ODOT, whose name I already forgot.
Jennifer.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
And let's
I'm
just-
seeing it, I'm seeing with the reserve bucket, the total comes to $290,078.
which one?
Okay, so if I'm adding up 122,242,
Mhm.
and I'm adding up 67,836, and I'm adding up the 100,000 right here. That comes to $290,078 in the reserve buckets.
There's. Let's see, there's.
Under project one,
Mhm,
it says reserve bucket 20% over
mhm.
is roughly what, $122,242.
Right,
Project two, reserve bucket under task 7 is 67,000.
it's 567.
Oh, is that
So-
500? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Whoa, I was way off. I can't read
And-
that.
We still have to keep those separate. Like, we need to determine where we're spending the 122,000 and then separately in another project where we're spending that overage.
Right,
Yeah.
So,
Like, we can't
so-
combine those together.
right, because the up under task 7 under project 1, that's a different funding base. So that 20% over is just for that project alone. So,
So that's 790,078.
yeah,
So, I mean, we could approve it as submitted.
Yep.
Correct?
Well,
So each of
We can
those-
approve it as submitted with a list. So I think that ODOT will push back if we don't say with this
Mhm.
I
extra
think they will
funds,
too.
we would like to utilize that for expansion. Like, I think they'll push back if we don't have some sort of verbiage that
I
gives
think
a
so.
direction that we're headed. But not so restrictive of expansion to Parrot House, right? Like, so
Right, well, yeah, and I think,
Yeah.
if they ask what that means, we've got a bunch of line items here that are zeroed out, so, I don't see any reason to come up with anything.
I
more
don't
than
think we don't have to, we don't have to give numbers. We can just say expansion. But I would like to go back to one thing just that earlier that Ashley had mentioned. Currently on the task list, there is not one that says that instead of doing like Saturday service, we would recommend that they actually go further. Now I'm driving, so I'm challenged on direction. To go further south on Stevens. So I do think that we should add a task that says we would expand services further south on Stevens, just to honor Ashley's previous request. And then I think we are good to vote.
You mean extend service like, right there, just as you're leaving the Pine Mill District area on the left-hand side?
Yes.
Is the Senior Citizen Center, and then beyond that is Parrot House. So you're saying that the bus could come as far as the Senior Center and then turn around prior to the Parrot House?
I don't know the answer to that, but somewhere or something that connects. I mean,
To the
Ashley, what
senior
was your
center.
request? Because okay.
Well, my focus on that request was to basically have an alternative across the river for the same populace of people, the people in the Southgate area. I mean, getting that,
So maybe
the
something-
footbridge that was there was destroyed in the flood, so it was a transportation infrastructure project that should have probably already been rebuilt to meet this need, so it's not necessarily going to affect the bus.
But we do
Um,
have a bus stop
You,
right there,
you do
right?
have a bus shelter,
Yeah.
it's on Jerry Reeves or
It's
just-
right by Southgate, right?
Yeah, right across the
from
street from Southgate, and that, it would be actually fantastic if that shelter could be moved to the senior citizen building, if it was on that heading south out Highway 99, or
Yeah.
Highway 99.
The old
Um,
99.
Instead of where that shelter is located now, the bus is veering off into that approachment at Jerry Reeves' property, and there's a ginormous pothole that has not been fixed.
By the city.
And there's a lot of semi truck traffic that's being parked there. And it's just a very dangerous spot crossing there at Southgate Market. The traffic coming in and out of town is 55, 60 miles an hour, and it's supposed to be reducing to the 35-mile-an-hour speed as you come north into town. But the where that shelter is located now is, I never see anybody there.
It's dangerous.
And it's very dangerous
Yeah.
for people to access it, specifically elders and children.
People have asked at the senior center when my dad, before he passed, when he was going there, they were all complaining the fact that they wish there was a bus shelter right there where there would be a bus pickup right,
At
on
the
that,
senior
at the
citizen?
senior, yes.
And if that could be moved to the senior citizen, or for example, like Dick had mentioned about a shelter being located on a private property, perhaps that shelter could be relocated to another needed location.
So-
And seniors could buy a shelter for their location, maybe, or something.
There is a way to have a shelter on private property, but what ends up happening is the owner has to donate that property to ODOT. And so that property is no longer theirs, and it is then ODOT's property. And I know it's a process. I don't know that it's a terribly long process, but it is a process. And so, because I've worked with other agencies that have attempted to get a shelter onto their location for some houseless populations, and they ended up not moving forward because there's no way to move a shelter onto a private property unless you donate that section of property to ODOT.
That makes sense. So maybe if it's a parking spot or something on the approachment or something, maybe. Would it be appropriate for us to make a recommendation to the executive board to see if somebody wants to communicate with the senior citizens building and see if they have
Sure.
any interest in having that maybe that one relocated there, or if they have a different idea that maybe they just want a leaning bench, or maybe they want they have an idea about something.
Yeah, we
they-
can make that request. That's fine.
I propose we request the
Okay,
executive board to look at that.
I think that we need to
Make
talk
motion.
about, well, I think we need to talk about the project one reserve bucket and what you guys would like to recommend the language be. Because I'm with Natasha, I think if you guys don't give some kind of recommendations, ODOT is gonna say that we didn't do our due diligence with these meetings.
I like Natasha's, the expansion. I think that that could be pretty generic.
How about put the word open expansion?
Mhm.
I like if we could put open in front of your word, Natasha, for open expansion.
Sounds fine. Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, open
And
expansion.
unless Jennifer has some other, unless she thinks that we should be calling it something else. I mean, I like that.
What do you think, Dick and Kathy?
I'm in.
You're making this so easy on us.
I don't make decisions with your committee,
Yeah, and she can't, she's just,
but thank
She's
you
just
for
here.
asking.
Oh, I like, well.
I think you guys are doing a great job though.
We're trying. Sometimes I feel like we're flying blind.
any other recommended language other than open expansion of services?
Let's see, what is that one word we use for the
I
military?
would strongly, Sherry, and I don't know if we have to have a meeting about this after, but there's specific language that Jennifer said in a meeting that she thought we should adopt from somebody's plan. And it was that loosely restrictive, right? So like it allowed
Right.
it to be loosely prescriptive, I mean. So, I mean, can we move forward with, we want something around the words of expansion, and then you reach out specific verbiage that speaks to that?
Yes, yes. Yes,
Okay. Are we getting there?
we are.
I think so.
We are. Okay, so then under the project two, under that reserve bucket, so in the current plan, we originally had. Under the lifeline, I guess that would be project. Task number 12 under project two, the lifeline, Lane County. Lane and Josephine County.
Yes,
She just had $20,000 put in that. There wasn't any money put under the SoCo collector. Because she had money that she thought was rolling forward, and we've actually used all that money up. We've asked ODOT to move it from one task to another. And then the Saturday service for Sutherland was 47,000. And the Winston Saturday service was 46,500. And then the Roseburg YMCA collector, she originally thought she had money to roll over, and we already expended that in a previous year, so there wasn't anything there either, unfortunately.
so it's
Sherry?
500.
Yes,
Could you just call that expanded services
we could, yeah, and that's.
for the generic?
Instead of divvying it out, I just told them that I would get those numbers for them before. you know,
Yeah.
Discussion, so I just wanted to throw that out there, but
Expanded
could-
services.
yeah, we could put in there, expansion of services or to include, Saturday
Yeah.
services.
Yeah, I like that
or-
idea, expanded services, I like that.
Okay,
I like that a lot.
and I will get some verbiage together for the board,
I love that thing that says kids ride free 0 to 17.
mhm.
There are a lot of kids that aren't driving, can't
Yes.
drive.
Is there
Yeah.
any capital projects that are needed, or that there's anything on the horizon that we should also add in as so like maybe another task that's expansion of service and another task that's capital projects as needed?
That's a
So,
good
yeah,
idea.
I had the 100,000 down there, so you guys can decide if you wanna put like 200,000 down, by capital and decrease the task 7 by 100,000, so that would be 467,000 for operation and expansion of services. And then down below, you could increase that
Do
if
we
you
have
want.
to allocate the money? Do we have, I don't remember the answer to this question.
Well,
Do we have
I think.
to allocate the money into?
I would think that if we wanted to do a capital project, because capital and operations is always kept separate, I would think that we would want
Right.
to do something where I know that, we've talked about getting new accounting software. That's been a huge topic of discussion and has been an issue with our audit
That should definitely
every
happen.
year. So we were planning 100, I think it was 150,000 for that, because what we usually do is we plan for the purchase and implementation, and then like a 5-year work, because we have a monthly fee that we'll have to pay,
Mhm.
and then like a 5-year, the monthly fees over 3 to 5 years, so it just kind of takes care of it for a while. So that, that would be something I know is definitely been a topic of discussion with the board at this point. Kathy, can you think of any other projects that the board has discussed? I know we've talked about like your Move It app, automating the system for the riders and that kind of thing for fares.
Well, we were
Go ahead.
also talking about the, is it called digital advertising on the buses? The
Oh.
ticker?
Yep, well, I know Ben's been talking about doing a wrap, but
Yeah.
I love the wraps.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, they can take a crappy looking bus and just make it look.
I think
just as
he
new.
said at the last meeting that he was
I-
projecting those to be like $5,000 a wrap, but,
Right, but his plan was to sell those wraps, so that shouldn't actually cost you
Right,
Right.
PPTD. That should be a income generator, not
Right.
a fee.
right.
Right.
I
And
know,
I think-
Michaela, what is it? I'm trying to remember the name of the project. We haven't actually started talking, but we would like to see services expanded where we work cooperatively with other areas. She has a really catchy title to it too, but we would actually be able to unite services to be able to get to Bend, to over to the coast, down to Medford, and over east too. So working cooperatively with other groups, but that's not really, that would be a service related one, not a capital, and we need to be working cooperatively with other districts. But that
Yeah,
is
that's
a project.
that's what the lifeline with Lane and Josephine County, that was originally kind of the plan, was to at least be able to get somebody from Eugene. Like we would have a connector that would connect somebody from Roseburg to Eugene, and then they could, get around in Eugene and then get back to Roseburg, same
Yeah.
thing with all the way down to Josephine County, but I know Michaela's got other ideas on expanding even past that. But I think if we just find some vaguely descriptive language that talks about expansion of services, I think that it would not limit us to just one type of expansion.
Right.
So I think that we just need to determine if we want to take any money from that 20% reserve from task 7 and have a bigger capital project, which the only thing that I can think of is like the Move It app or my accounting software.
I love the
Yeah.
idea of doing the accounting software.
Yeah, I do
That's gonna
too.
get you guys right aligned with, all
So
the numbers.
It
Yeah.
seems to me, Sherry, you know how much the accounting software is gonna cost? So
it's gonna be probably about 150,000, I think is what.
150.
well,
Yeah.
my recommendation then, you guys make the decision, then we make the decision after that. But just allow for what you need for it. like you said, at least transfer a 50 more. And if you think you need more than that, then that would be the thing you should recommend to us right off the bat.
Right.
Should we do another task for technology that would include the Move It app and the software update?
Yeah, you
That's
could, you could definitely call it that, like, you know,
Mhm. And then if there's any other expenses that end up coming up, that it may be able to just come right out of what's.
And that is really good if we're able to do something eventually down the line where.
so how much do you guys want to allocate? If it'd be at least 150 for the accounting software, and then I don't know on the Move It app, but you
About
could,
another 50.
Technical expansion.
I don't think they're gonna charge us anything for the quote.
right,
And then I don't know what their contract looks like and if they can start services to kind of give a little preview of it and then bill out. I really, those are down in the weeds that I'm hoping that somebody from the board can provide some more information.
So
on.
let's say the
But I
hundred and fifty for the software, should we say 50 question mark for
Mhm.
for the app?
Yeah, I would like there to actually probably be a little bit even more of a cushion, because if there's other things that have to do that involve technology, maybe it's updating the website, or maybe it's doing something with social media, or maybe maybe there's something else that comes up
Well,
between now and then
do
that,
you want to do anything for bus shelters?
Oh, definitely.
yeah.
So you
And-
need to consider that as
That'll
well.
increase the clientele.
And what JC had mentioned earlier about folks not being able to see the schedule, we could utilize a QR code that could just basically be duplicated and installed on the
The
bus
shelter.
poles.
Mhm.
I
Or
know
the
at least,
shelters.
I know at least 50% of the people that are riding the buses. 50% of them do not have Apple or Android, so a QR code
They
is
have an
not
old
gonna
flip
work.
Well, all
phone.
you have to do is just take a picture. So if they know how to take a picture with their phone, then they can access the QR code. All you have to do is.
Unless
turn on
they
your-
have a flip phone with no internet.
Yeah, a lot of them
Oh,
have the
with
flip
no
phone.
internet?
In
Yeah,
fact,
with
some
no
people are,
Wi-Fi.
because of what people are discovering right now, not to get lost in the weeds,
Mhm.
but they're discovering that some of these phones, they're forcing the 5G on you. And 5G is causing brain cancer, so they're saying, don't put the phone up to your ear to talk, keep it on speaker.
Oh, that's
Don't-
how I do mine.
They say, don't put the phone near your heart like men put in the front pocket, because it's causing heart problems. So this 5G is actually harming us. And so a lot of people now, including young people, are now going to flip phones and they're going to the crickets, because they realize that this 5G being forced into our phones is actually hurting us physically.
Oh, I believe it.
And so that's why.
So-
Can I
Okay.
kind of
As,
get
So
back
back
on the
to
topic? So
Pat.
two points I want to make. One is it's getting kind of late. And two, I'm assuming however we add those things we just talked about, that still comes under the reserve. So it's clear that money cannot be spent unless that extra money comes in. Is that right?
Yes.
Right,
So if you want to do 200,000 under vaguely descriptive to improving technology,
yeah.
how much would you like to put under bus shelters?
Sherry, do you have any guesstimation as to how much a bus shelter is?
thank you.
Randy was the one that was working on a lot of that, and like I said, we do have semi seats. So maybe, maybe at this point of the game, maybe just getting those semi seats installed around town at least would be helpful.
I mean, semi-seats would be helpful, but I do think bus shelters are the path we need to head towards. It's just,
I think we should do, it would just be my suggestion to at least do 50,000, because
okay.
that will at least purchase, I think, one or two bus shelters. I'm not sure.
I would say.
I wanna
50,000.
say they're like 15.
I thought I
I
seen.
want to say 15. Dick, do you remember?
Yeah.
I wanna say
15,
about
18,
15,000.
something like that, I thought.
I don't, but it's just putting it in there so we have something to work with.
Right.
Yeah, I would say 50,000 for the shelters.
Agreed.
Okay.
Clarification, is there a count on how many are without shelters? Is there a priority list on which?
There
location?
was a priority list. I don't, Ben may have access to it. I don't know if Cheryl left it or not. Just, I don't know. But there was,
I have access to all of her
Well-
folders now, yeah.
yeah,
So,
I know, but-
Can that be shared with us when somebody finds it?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so. Right
Well,
now.
and that's getting a little operational. Like we generally just say we want to increase services and we want bus shelters, and then we allow the operations team to determine where the most usage is, the best, does that make sense? We
There-
usually, we
there
usually
is-
stay a little more
It
30,000
does.
foot view.
Yeah, good.
priority list.
Yeah, there is no bus shelter on Kelly's Corner, either going from Roseburg to Winston. There is no bus shelter coming back at the Chevron gas station. People have to stand out there in the rain outside the building waiting for the bus, which pulls up in the back lot behind where the trucks do their gas filling up. So there's no bus shelter on either side of Kelly's Corner. And there's not a bus shelter at all right across from, is that Ray's in the green area. One day, we actually followed the bus, my son showed me where it went, and it goes all the way down, you make a right-hand turn at Ray's, you go all the way down to the end, there's a church, you go over that. And the
So-
bus driver actually did a circle there was no bus shelter there either, right in the, where the subdivision area was.
So yeah, once again, that's all operations. So we just recommend that we want additional bus shelters and we allow operations to determine where that's going.
Copy.
3 and moving the one down to the
Okay.
theater.
So if I'm understanding all of this correctly, the recommendations in the far right corner that I have laid out, just to continue services and keep things running as they are today. You are all in agreement with that. The reserve bucket for task number 7 under project 1 is 122,242,000, and that is open expansion of services, and I'm gonna get the language that will speak to that, from Jennifer. And then if we increase the project 8 capital, if we increase that, the one bucket from 100,000 to 200,000, and we use that to improve technology, and then add $50,000 to the project 7 bus shelters. That decreases under project 2, that reserve bucket, that 20%, that reduces that now to 417,836.
You're right.
Beautiful. Gorgeous.
Do you think Jennifer's gonna be good with
I-
all
I-
that?
I do.
Okay. Should we make a motion to approve? Or is there any other questions?
Is there any
Does
other
anybody-
question or discussion?
Looks good to me.
I make a motion to approve what Sherry just said.
Hey, I
second
second it. Yeah.
it. Dick seconds it.
Okay,
Wonderful.
and all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
5 and no, anybody, any nays? No? All right,
Good job, guys. Very good.
motion passes.
Almost exactly 2 hours, Jeff.
yeah.
Okay.
And Sherry, thank you for going over this stuff with us. It was a lot easier to understand. Thank you.
Okay, well,
It was,
like I
yeah.
said, I apologize because I have not been involved in these discussions and I don't have all of the knowledge that Cheryl did have, was a wealth of knowledge. So I'm doing the best I can and I appreciate everybody's, everybody being patient with me and.
Yeah.
Sherry, you are
Well,
doing
we
such
did.
an outstanding job. And this was laid out so nicely. I really, you did, I mean, I just can't even tell you how much I appreciate you.
Yeah, much less convoluted. Thank you.
I was trying to simplify it because it is, if you guys don't know what you're really looking at, then it's hard to understand all the,
And all the
20%
different
over.
policies and the rules and
Yes.
regulations with ODOT and
Yeah, and we are, we are a government entity, so we have rules and regulations we have to follow because we're a government entity. And then because they are state funds and federal funds, there are rules and regulations that go along with
So many.
us accepting those funds.
Is there, any public comment? Was there anybody on there for public comment?
I didn't see
I don't
anybody
think
else.
anybody
I'm
came
gonna
in.
stop.
And then
Sherry.
anything?
And there's nothing else to be on the agenda at this moment.
I just have one thing real briefly.
Yeah,
There's a tourism grant opportunity with the city of Roseburg. The deadline's the end of this month. Applications are available on the city's website. I think the max is just under $8,000. But considering that you do have a partnership with Reedsport, the Reedsport to Roseburg is over 90 miles, so that's you're considered a tourist. If, even though we're traveling within our own county, when we go from here to Reedsport, we're a tourist when we're in Reedsport. So our district should be able to qualify for that,
And
and
that is through who, the city?
the city of Roseburg.
Okay.
Good job.
and then when's the deadline when that's due, Ashley?
It's just
End of the
here at the end of this month, so
Oh, boy.
if somebody's, I don't know. who
I will
appropriate-
mention it.
Okay.
Yeah, I will mention it.
All the
and-
details are there, the applications are, it's a single page. You just basically you have to, be a business or be one of the agencies in town that can, a 501(c)(3) or that can accept the
Okay,
application or the funds once the application's approved. Chances of getting the funding is very, very
What's the phone
likely.
number for your office here for you, if somebody had to reach you by phone.
541-671-0788 is my.
We can't find the phone
direct.
number on the website. There's only a place where you can put in your name, your email and ask a question or say, I need to reach someone. There's no place to call anybody.
Well, I have access to the website, so I will make a note.
541-671-0788.
Yeah, that's for me in finance. We do have one that just comes straight to the district and then they can they can dial the extension of the person they want. And that number is 541-671-3691.
Okay. 671-3691, great.
And then Donna, so you wanna adjourn the meeting?
Yes,
Is there
so,
any
Is there-
pending? Is there something we need to know
Does-
that's pending?
yeah, does Natasha or Dick or anybody have anything?
Anything else not on agenda?
No, on the website, when under contact us, the phone number is 541-440-6500.
That, ooh, that
Yep,
might be,
yep.
that might be our unfault rides.
What's that number again?
541. You said 541-440.
I'm getting there. 440-6500.
I think that might be our Uncle Rides number, but
Yeah, I
I'll
think
look
that
at
is.
that.
I think that is.
That really shouldn't, I mean, it could be listed on there for the riders, but we should have our admin office number on there somewhere.
Yeah, because we went all over, I was looking all over, because I wanted to call you today to see if there's anything you needed from me.
Are you referencing the website?
The website for here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff
We're-
that needs to be cleaned up.
Yes, I'm cleaning as I find and hear.
Is there
I've been
somebody
going
that
in and
can
cleaning.
help you? Do you need help with any of this stuff? I
I've got
realize that you're
some
doing
help.
so much. Your name's on this. Is there anything that I personally could help you with? Or is there anything that our committee could make a recommendation to maybe get you some additional help?
Who's your
Easier.
server?
Make it easier.
Who's the
Smooth flow.
server?
Good, it's just, we're just,
Will you let us
we're
know?
going through the growing pains and having new individuals and
Yeah,
positions and, it's.
So which one's the admin member? This 3691?
The 3691 is to the admin building here, and then it gives you an option to dial an extension of what department you're trying to get a hold of.
Okay.
So that's just to the district. The 0788 is my direct line to my desk.
all right. Anything else? Anybody up there? Silence.
Okay.
They're already done.
You wanna
Like-
take
I
a
like
break?
to be, I like to be thought of as being somebody up there.
Well, you are kind of flying around with your little
The tooth fairy.
tooth fairy
I'm the
thing.
tooth fairy. Thank you guys. You guys did a great job. And Sherry, again, thank you so much.
Yeah,
You're doing awesome
she's
for us.
our lifeline, I'll tell you.
Are we gonna have another meeting before the end of the year, or we're just
That's
done?
something for you guys to discuss if you
Yeah.
want to. I mean, after the board meets on the 16th, it's pretty much a done deal, so we
Okay.
don't really need
Yeah,
to,
they
but
already approved.
if you would like to start having quarterly meetings, we could do that.
Okay.
Instead
I
of
think
one.
that's, in my opinion, I think that's a good idea. That
Okay.
way we all stay, you know, in the loop with funding and as things changes.
I think that was a discussion that was had and decided upon, prior to Cheryl leaving, but then I think, you know, everything was.
Now, are
I was
we
gonna
able
say
to-
historically, Dick, I mean, I think we did it like every, what, 4 months? I don't know if it was quarterly, but it was staying close to quarterly.
Yeah, that wouldn't, yeah, and that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I know that two of the people, I can't remember who that was. The gal that normally sits here, she said that
Kat.
yeah, Kat, I think Fridays are the best for people, so if we can do it quarterly on a Friday.
Okay.
That way, almost all of us, I mean, then people, if somebody has to work overtime past 5:30. On a Monday through Wednesday, then it's not
Yeah,
gonna,
it's fine with me too.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
make it.
Okay.
So are we able to zoom in on the main meeting?
Yes,
order
so the
just to
board
keep-
meeting is gonna be held on the 16th, I
Yeah.
think it is.
I
and
only
it
zoom
is
in.
Yeah, it will be at 5:30 and the link should be on our website. It is on the agenda. So you can find it there, and I think I also posted it on the, you know, under that board
I'd
meeting, I
like you
think
to
the
come
link
and
is
talk
there.
about your
Okay, I'll be there.
thing, I'll be there too,
Okay,
just come in person.
yeah,
Or,
I can come and talk.
Well, you have to come so way, I drove you
Oh,
home that time, my God, you live way out there in the middle of nowhere.
It's okay.
God,
It's, this
it
is
was
worth it.
scary, I kept driving and driving and driving and say, girl, how do you even get into town?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
you
think
have to
something like-
adjourn the meeting.
Okay, so I propose that we adjourn the meeting, the time is 7:40.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, good night, everyone, thanks Natasha, Dick and Kathy.